Turn the mic on. Great. So just a really sort of quick Q&A for, actually we have mentors here too, so any Q&A, any questions you might have about the hack, working in industry, getting a job, anything like that. Oh, that's not there. Okay. We want to just set some time aside because most of you are looking to get a job in the next few years. And we're all here sitting in industry, and we would like to help you in any way that we can. So let's go around briefly, and let's do a quick intro from each of you. Is that cool? How's that?
Yeah, good job. I'm Moses, senior engineer at Readme, and I've been an engineer for 14 years. Started at Lockheed Martin, worked with really companies from there. Primarily a Java guy, but recently with Node, TypeScript, kind of doing that. But yeah, that's kind of my experience.
My name is Nicole Matthews. I'm from Spotify currently. I've been working for 4 years, so kind of new to it, but not too much. Software engineering, Java, Python, data, yeah.
I'm Brian Keck. I've been working for about 15 years in tech. I've worked at PayPal and started pretty much at a small marketing agency, went to PayPal, and now I work at MX as a site reliability engineer.
Hey, my name is Zeus Yusuf. I am a senior software engineer at Worldwide Technology. I've been a software engineer for a little over 8 years now. I started my career at PayPal, and now I'm here.
Code? Do you write code? What code do you write?
Yes. I write Node.js, Python, Docker, the full stack, pretty much.
Awesome. I'm going to include Jot in this because he was our kickoff MC as well. Jot, do you want to come over here?
Not really.
All right, so I'm John Powers. I now work at MX with Brian, doing leading software engineering organizations. And I'm old enough that I'm not going to tell you when I started. I code as little as possible, although my degree is computer engineering, so I have a lot of the basics. I'm pretty heavily involved with ASU, so I'm on the industry advisory board for Sky now, formerly known as SIDSI, formerly known as whatever the hell it was. So deal a lot with the engineering organizations and computer science work.
Thank you. I'm Greg. My full-time job is an engineering manager at Meta for the last 1.5, 2 years, something like that. I was at PayPal for 10 years prior to that, and then Lockheed Martin with some of these people before that. I really enjoy writing code. I don't get to do it because I'm an engineering manager, so Opportunity Hack lets me do that on the side. I wanted to ask if anyone in this room has any questions, any thoughts for us, for the group that's here, and then if you two want to chime in, that would be cool as well. But any questions on industry, jobs, interviewing? Literally, this is your time for us to help you in any way that we can. First, I will give a question to the group, and then we'll go back to the crowd, and I'll go back to Slack. So on Slack, if you're on either the virtual channel or the in-person ASU channel, throw some questions in there if you've got it. First question for the group is, how valuable do you think hackathons are for your career?
I think they're really valuable, especially for the stage you guys are in. One of the biggest things is getting the experience of working in a team, working on technologies, working with a deadline and actual goals. Even though projects give you that, this is something that's like a little bit bigger and it has a little more impact, so that's going to be much more like what the job is like. And when you go to interview, you'll have more than just what you did in school. You can say you did this, and that shows a passion, a care, and that is something that we look for, especially with junior engineers.
Ditto. In other words, yeah, it's very important. I think that this allows you to show what you care about in the world and your passions and interests. And it allows you to experiment with a bunch of different things. If you're anything like me, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I got out of school. So yeah, definitely do hackathons.
Great answers. I think also what I like about hackathons for the most part is community building. You build your own relationships and make close contacts with people that you kind of get to know and follow their career, and they'll end up helping you in your career or vice versa. And I think those connections are very valuable, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I would share the idea that hackathons are extremely important to building your career in tech. In my opinion, I think the most valuable piece of it is just the exposure to interacting with other like-minded individuals. You really get the ability to talk with other people who are thinking in the same ways, doing the same things, and you get to gain confidence talking about these ideas that you're having in your mind. So when you're new to a team, you won't be, for the first time, presenting your ideas. It'll be maybe the second time, maybe the third time. So in my opinion, it's extremely valuable to your career to be in hackathons.
Oh, John's coming over. I will say one of the common questions you get for interviews is telling me about a time that you had in your life or your career that was a challenge. And if your challenge is like, I had to turn in my homework assignment and I needed to rush to get it in, that's not really a good answer. The really good answer is you worked with a bunch of people to solve a hard problem. So, talking more about that. John.
All right, so I've done a lot of interviewing at the career fairs, all of those things here. And what I will tell you is, like 90% of the resumes look identical. And as a result, you're looking for ways that you can stand out and show that you have a passion. And so if you look at ASU's population of computer science students and computer engineering, right, it's several hundred, if not thousands, right? And then you look at the percentage that showed up here this weekend, that number is much, much smaller. So you have automatically told people, right, you have given a demonstration of your passion for software. And one of the things I ask when I interview is, what do you like to do in your spare time? Because it's one thing to want to be in computer science because it's the hot thing and I can get a good job and I can make a lot of money. But the ways that you're really successful is when it's something you love and it's something that you want to do and you do in your spare time. And this helps show this and lets you craft that narrative when you're talking to people who are interviewing. So that's part one. Part two is there are a lot of people from industry here that you can get to know. So we may not be hiring, but at least we knew you were in the hackathon. We can now, and the other thing we look at, show me your GitHub repos, right? What do your commits look like? Let me see what your code looks like. Those are all things that most students cannot provide when you're talking to them in depth. And so those would be my comments.
Anyone have questions for us? Any questions? Any questions? Anything, literally anything. Oh, there's a hand, okay, go into the hand.
And there's one in virtual.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, I just want to ask that what are your views on the recent tech recession? Like if there's any? If yes, then when will things improve? And again, if yes, then what caused the recession and how are the things going?
You want to know about our thoughts on the recession?
Tech recession.
Okay, tech recession. Layoffs, all that stuff. Yes, okay. Anyone have any immediate thoughts? Moses is looking at me.
I don't worry about it. At the end of the day, the industry's not going anywhere. These companies aren't going anywhere. Software is as strong as it has been. The economy is going to affect everything. This is one of the first times in a very long time since the .com bust that we've been affected like this. But at the end of the day, there's still going to be people hiring. Even when they were laying people off, they were still hiring, right? So for you guys, I wouldn't stress too much about that. The main thing is focus on going after what you want right now. And even if you want to use it as fuel, think about it as, I just need to be that much better going into maybe a more competitive landscape. Even if that's not more competitive, it just makes you a better candidate, it's going to make you a better engineer, it's going to put you ahead. So I wouldn't be too freaked out about it.
I just want to add to that. Stuff goes up, stuff goes down, and in general, the direction is kind of up, right? I think it's really important to keep in mind in tech, we've seen a constant shift towards something new and something like the new shiny. And being in tech, it's really easy to stay on it's not really easy, but there's always something new. There's always going to be careers to go into, even if you're constantly learning. If you're showing the drive to stay current in tech, you'll always have a good career to go into, and you'll be smart enough to understand what the new thing is and what it's based on, if that makes any sense. And I also want to add to that, a lot of people are worried about artificial intelligence and how it's gonna like start writing software for us. Probably true, but there's gonna be smart people that are already in tech that know how to make it write the software too. So I think that's gonna be something to keep in mind. There's always gonna be a place, I think, for people like us.
One other thing that I will say that I think that this has shown us is it's going to be really important to seek out work once you're in industry. What we found is that there were a lot of companies who had roles and projects and things that really weren't providing a lot of value, but because the money was cheap, they just said, sure, whatever to everything. So I think something to keep in the back of your mind is like make sure that you are in a role that's providing value, and that's something that you don't want to look to your management, your leadership chain to do for you. You need to know that you're in a role that's providing value, a project that's providing value. How can you stay as associated with things that are important as possible, so that if this does happen again in your lifetime, you're going to be further down the line for the chopping block when the layoffs happen, because you're going to be more integral to the things that business cares about. So that's one of those things is don't look for the hidey holes that a lot of people had where they got to show up to work, not do a whole lot, and get paid a lot. Then they found they stopped getting paid.
So there's a guy by the name of Mark Andreessen, who's one of the principal partners at Andreessen Horowitz. I remember him because he was one of the first guys who wrote Mosaic, one of the first web browsers. So way back from UAUC. But he's the one probably 5 years ago who coined the phrase "software is eating the world." Right? Everything is going to software. You want to be in the place that's the thing that's eating the world, not the other way around. So as an industry, software works because it's fast, it has low marginal cost, it can have infinite complexity and thus solutions. So it's from a career perspective, be good at what you do, and it's not going anywhere.
I'll also just share a couple of trends that I know about. So the first trend is if you're a recent college grad and you're being asked to go into an office, there is some data to back up the claim that says you're more productive by having to go into an office. Some companies are asking you to go into an office for 12 months, 18 months, and then as you get that seniority, then you can request to go remote. So I think that is a general trend that at least I'm seeing. The other trend is we are seeing hiring pick up. The problem is that the recruiting staffs are like halved from what they used to be. So if you used to have 500 recruiters, now you maybe only have 10. And so those recruiters are having to go and figure out how to hire a bunch of people with a limited staff, limited bandwidth. So the best thing you can do is keep staying on top of it, keep getting referrals, keep pinging recruiters, and just stay on top of it for them, because it's a lot of work for them to keep track of a lot of people with a smaller staff. We do have a question on virtual from Carlos. Carlos is asking, do you have any advice for getting back into the industry after a career break? I will say, like, if you're a software engineer and you've taken a few years off, or you haven't done software engineering for a few years, the best thing to do is continue to write code while you're not in a job, because that really shows that you have a passion for it. I wanted to see if anyone has any thoughts on the career break question. Brian?
Yeah.
Yep.
This might be related, but someone said, someone mentioned open source and GitHub, right? And I think it's one of the things that's important to note is when people are looking to hire, they're not going. Some might look at your repos that you're contributing to, but really what matters is the green squares. I think that means that you have. It's not like that you're contributing to a popular open source project, even though they might see that. That's really good, but the green squares are the important part in open source, right? I think that just means that you're contributing and shows that you care about software, right? But to add to that, I think that staying hungry is good advice. Always learn and stay on top of technology. It moves so quickly that it's really easy to get behind, and trying to keep your mind like moldable to what's coming next is going to be very important, especially in the next 5 to 10 years and probably forever. So.
The other industry secret for interviews is you'll go on LeetCode and you'll be LeetCoding, trying to prepare for a job interview, and in your interview you'll get a question that is not exactly like your LeetCode question, and it requires you to think outside of the box and think about something that you haven't thought about before, but using some foundational knowledge that you have. So in the same way, the GitHub green squares thing, if I had a nickel every time I saw the septal length flower GitHub repos that people have, that they're just like clones, right, of you doing data science, the same data science thing over and over again, it's much different than actually contributing to like an open-ended problem. You picked up an issue from some open source project and you solved it. Those two things are vastly different. So actually working on something that somebody hasn't done before, or solving a LeetCode problem that is slightly different than the one that you've seen, both of those are going to be much more helpful when you're trying to get back after a career break. All right, I think I just wanted to keep it short and sweet. No more questions that I see. Let's end there unless anyone has one final question, otherwise we will get back to hacking. All right, let's get back to hacking. Thanks everybody.